What's up, Black family? Today, I'm just going to kind of go through a few things. This is Super Mike. I want you to hit the like button for me, please. I know I have not been around and got with y'all a little while, but yeah, hit the like button, share the thing. It's just going to be a quick talk. I just want to talk about force and power. You know, when you're going through the physical laws, you know, science, physics, chemistry, mathematics, you know, all those things, they give us a good way to see things, that aspects of human nature. It gives you an analogy to tell so that we can kind of see and understand how things go. Because when you understand things, you have a little bit more patience with the thing. So, and you know, that's kind of where I'm at with this here. It's talking about a rising force would break a falling mass. You know, when you add energy, you add to something that was maybe still, like cold water or cold air. It tends to sink towards the bottom. This is just physics. Cooler liquid or cooler gas will sink towards the bottom of a thing, and the warmer will rise. And this is the excuse me. And so this is the reason why you have a situation where when you add a you know, you add like warm air and cold air meet, you're going to get a storm. You're going to because the two differences have to settle. You know, water has to find its level. You see, and this is kind of how human nature is. When you got two different groups, two different peoples, these people are different. And if you mix those two people, they have a different lineage, they have a different genetic signature, you're going to get what's called racial conflict. And that came through with the guy named, Severe Cox, Ernest Severe Cox. He kind of outlined some of that. This was a white guy. He wrote a book called White Supremacy. And this was part of a long line of white supremacists. These are intellectuals. These were intellectual groups of people. They came up with these ideas that they were the superior racial group, you see. And so, you know, they came up with all these books to prove that they were so superior. You know, they came up with eugenics. They came up with all of these scientific theories to try to verify and prove what they already decided. And, you know, that gave them justification to belittle, kill, destroy any other racial category that they, you know, keep in mind these racial categories they came up with on their own. And so, you know, these people had to, but because the universe is rooted in justice, they still, for some reason, felt the need to justify this this sick mindset of, you know, destruction. You know, they found the foundation of their whole entire system was based on stealing resources, stealing land, murdering people who they deemed less than themselves. So when you have two different groups of people, it doesn't matter. You're going to either get a mixing of the cultures, You're going to get a conflicting of the cultures, and they're going to separate themselves, and they're going to create a border, and they're going to negotiate with each other to achieve peace. Or these people are going to have a conflict, and one is going to annihilate the other one. And this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with two groups of people that are different. Even though we came up in the same area, in the same plot of territory of land on the planet, we're different. We're different groups of people. And so what I want to, and I'm talking about the white and the black group of people. Now, what I want to do here is I just want you to think about this here. There's a lot of questions out here that, it's like this. There's certain questions that, your mind can't even think of, but you need the answers to those questions. So there's certain questions you can't even think of because you haven't been exposed to foundational knowledge or foundational information dealing with this subject or the answer. So you're dealing with a struggle that you think is natural, but it's not natural. If you look around, you see other groups, from the black perspective, we see other groups who are not dealing with these other groups are not dealing with a certain level of difficulty. And sometimes we look and we come up with different ideas of why this must be. But obviously there's other groups of people that are dealing with things. They're dealing with hardships and problems and things that they're trying to solve. But, as far as you're looking at the African American, the black people in America, we seem like to be dealing with a level of infighting that other groups don't seem to possess. And so this should tell you right there that there's some questions that you're not asking. And sometimes we don't ask those questions because we don't even study that material to even come up with those questions. So that's why it's important to seek knowledge. You got to seek knowledge. You got to seek foundational knowledge. Now, what I want to do, I'm just going to go through this here. I want to go through the eugenics, just some information on the eugenics movement. And so what I'm going to do here is I'll share this. I'm sorry. I think we're going to do it this way. We'll do it that way. Yeah, I think y'all can see that. I just want to share just part. In 1974, this guy is named William Shockley. It's 1974, so, it's a while ago, like 46 years ago. This guy is an admitted eugenicist, right? And but some people who don't believe, because sometimes we haven't studied these things. This eugenics society, these are not lightweight people. You have some supremacist groups who are grunts. You see what I'm saying? They don't have to be very well educated. They may not be the smartest, apple in the bunch, but these are supremacist groups. And they try to make them the face of the movements. But these people who are really the most effective, who maintain the structure of the white supremacy system, and white supremacy means that you're literally trying to lord over others. Now, a person who has white pride, I wouldn't have necessarily a problem with that. I don't have a problem with white pride or even white nationalism, because a white nationalist, if this is all they want is their nation, and for them to, work like the Russians. Russia is a white country. They got what they got by themselves. They worked for it themselves. Any problems that they have, they're settling it between themselves. And that's how that is. You know, I guess Sweden and Denmark, I don't think these were slave-holding nations. Whatever they got themselves. So they don't have a population of completely different people within their geographic border who are indigenous to that geographic border. They don't have another group demanding justice. You see, so I mean, Russia and maybe people like Denmark and Sweden and Switzerland, which are called the Nordic nations, those guys, I'm sure they have problems, but you don't hear most of the conflicts coming from those groups of people because, you know, pretty much they didn't create those extreme differences, and they didn't create those what you call crimes against humanity, things that are stored in the racial DNA memory of the group. It's more than just what you've done to an individual. You committed an injury on a whole racial category, which it must be resolved. It will never go away. You see, this is a racial memory. See, so this is what I just want to put this information out there for people who literally think that Black folks or any group who has been injured in such a way should just get over it. This is literally impossible. You can get 1 million Black people who truly believe that they should get over it. But as soon as they have children, those children will look at the history and they will reignite that feeling. You've had situations where people have tried to hide entire histories from entire groups of people. But because the way truth works, there's always going to be evidence of something at some point in time. People are going to ask questions, and then the information is going to get out. People will discover it. And then you will have these issues that would need to be settled again, because the signs and symbols and signals of injustice, you know, they occur and people don't just get over it. So like I said, when you have, and this is this dude here, I don't know if you guys can see this, but let me see here. His name was Ernest Severe Cox, this guy. Let's see. Y'all can't see that. Let me see here. Yeah, okay. This is a picture of this guy. You see? He was kind of like but see, they don't teach us about certain people, because you need to know about your own history as Black folks, but you also need to know about white people. You gotta know some of their stuff too. Who are their thought leaders? Because every significant thing begins with a thought, and that is a thought leader. A movement has to happen in order for anything to exist. You had to have had a movement, and these people inspire other people, and then you have a reality. They create a reality. So we're going to I want to go through some of the things about eugenics, and I like to listen to people explain their own thing. This is from them. Okay, so I don't like to, if I'm against something, because eugenics is the enemy of Black folks. The eugenics movement would like to wipe us out. They want to decide who lives and who dies. And he's going to say it in nice ways, but you know, let's listen to some of this here. We're not going to
shouldn't, just this brief introduction. But I think there is another word that better describes what I'm involved in, and that word is raceology, which means a scientific analysis of racial differences. And I basically have a faith that reason is a good thing, and I feel as you do about the First Amendment, but maybe with a slightly different emphasis. I think the really important thing about the First Amendment is it is a way of guaranteeing a high likelihood that truth will emerge as a result of conflicting ideas being expressed.
Freedom of speech.
And I have a thesis and a basic belief that truth is a good thing and will be of benefit to man.
Thank you. Dr. Francis Welsing, give us the benefit of your theory, please.
All right, I'm going to skip Dr. Francis Welsing.
I wrote the paper in 1960.
The only reason why I'm going to skip Dr. Welsing is because I want to, we should be studying ourselves, which is what Dr. Francis Welsing is. See, this is the difference between two worlds, this debate. And there's several debates in history that, are like this, but it's our intellectual thought versus their intellectual thought. And ours is young and rising, theirs is old and failing. And you get these things like this happening in every generation, many debates like this, conflicts in boxing and all of these type of things. But the point is, I'm not going to listen to Dr. Welsing because I don't think we've been educated about the opposition here. So I want to go to what this man is talking about here.
A problem and encourage thinking about it. And this is a very valuable thing. But to cover either Dr. Welsing's views or mine, and let me say here are, just to show that these things exist, is a pamphlet that she was good enough to give me some time ago.
This one's upside down.
Well, that one's upside down. Yeah. Thank you.
Right.
And this is one of my own. It's actually a collection of a debate.
The Imperative of Ethnic Education is yours.
This is the issue of the journal. Mine was, the title of my paper is somewhat different from this, but I want to say that speaking for myself, if people would like to write to me at Stanford University, I have a postbox.
Okay, so this tells you here, this man is an educator at Stanford University. So think about how many, now this is 1974. So think about at the university, you're probably like 20 years old. So right now, the people that this man educated, at least up to the point that he's talking to her, they're like 60 years old. They've been doing things. They're, scientists. They're, because this is science here, you see, that he's talking about here. I don't know if that he's the, whatever he is, but he's a respected thought leader, okay? So I'm just giving us to understand, this is just, these things were going on. This is how people are educated. They were educating thousands and thousands of people to take over the reins of power for the future. And these are the people that we're dealing with right now. Bill Gates was probably in this man's class. A person like Bill Gates, his age, was listening to, William Shockley, this guy. So I don't want to get too much into it, but it's a couple of parts that I want to get into. I want him.
The numbers are also in this direction, but nowhere near.
This is what I want you to see. This is his concern. This is his concern. These concerns made it to government policy.
By telling people how to reach her pamphlet. But now let me say, this chart that I held up a moment ago is very important in respect to this question of why I think there may be what proves a basic difference. But I'm going to say that if there were not a basic difference in intellectual capacity in the past, there probably will be a basic difference between black and white intellectual capacity in the future, simply because of the reproduction patterns. And these are Census Bureau data, and this is the most threatening aspect. And what it indicates is that for the black women of the lowest intellectual social class, which are rural farm women, generally the education is least, the average number of children is 5.4. For women with college degrees, it's 1.9.
All right, so You see, he is concerned about black birth rates. He's not black. I just want you to think about that. A white man is concerned about what's going on in black people's bedrooms, how many kids we're having. He has a concern about that. Now, I just want some of us to think about, like, why would he even be concerned about that? Keep in mind, this man is trying to rule. He's thinking about his next generation of rulers. Who's his people going to be competing against? And that's us. Well, you know, that's us. So he's talking about that these people have low intellectual capacity. You see, and that's absolutely wrong, because we have many millionaires and extremely successful black people who were born from families whose parents were not considered by this man smart. But of course, we know that our grandparents and our great-grandparents were extremely smart. But these people don't have a very intelligent way to judge intelligence. These people think that they're intelligent because college people just tells you the people who are smart, who decide to assimilate in their system, in the amount of people that they allow in. It doesn't tell you how intelligent people are. So I think that was the main thing. Let me see if I can, there's one more part.
So this is definitely unfavorable. It is reproducing far more at the bottom end and not enough to keep even at the top end.
Dr. Shockley, can
For
you
whites, let me
explain,
just finish this. For whites, the numbers are also in this direction, but nowhere nearly as severe.
Dr. Shockley, I think that in all fairness, you should explain to the audience why it is that you have, first of all, you have a very large segment of the black population who are on farms, who are deprived in cities. Why don't you explain at the time that you're showing this, who is keeping black people in a situation like they're in? I mean, it could be, you could turn it around the other way where you could have.
Well, I mean, I know she can dispute it. She literally destroyed him in this debate here. But, and you should look at this. This is part of education and history every black person should know, and white people should know. You know, this man, he's trying to look out for his community, and we know Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is a legend. She was fighting for black interests at that time, and she destroyed this man intellectually. He never came back out into the public there. That's why you don't hardly know who he is. But he was working underground because he didn't want to lose his coveted position teaching. This is what I want to know. He just came to the blacks to see if he can convince them. This is what I wanted to see here. Okay. Let's see if we can get to the point where he's talking about eugenics.
Now, but the lesson, let me say what the lesson of Nazi history we have in this country, and it will protect us. It's just the thing that makes this program possible. The First Amendment, which allows freedom of speech. If one believes that is not the right answer, then one has to be one of the most anti-German racists that can be. If one believes that the German people would have tolerated the concentration camps and the gas chambers, if news media, like the programs that Mr. Brown is setting on, if those people were willing to bring discordant views out of the open, I don't believe the concentration camps and the gas chambers could have continued to exist in Germany.
I'd like to comment, because I'd like to say that I don't think that there's a major difference between what Dr. Shockley is doing. I don't think that Dr. Shockley is fully aware of what he is doing and why he is doing what he's doing. But the long-range implications of what he is doing are no different than the propaganda campaign that Hitler and his Nazi unit carried on in Germany that ended up eliminating 6 million Jewish people. Now, what is most interesting is that Hitler said the very same thing. He said, number one, that the Jews were genetically inferior to the Aryans. Number two, he was aware that the Semites had genetically dominant genetic material to the Aryans. And if we begin to understand the way that people who were in Europe at the time that the Semites arrived from Africa When the Semites arrived in Europe from Africa, they were people who had substantial amounts of color and who had very kinky hair because they were from the continent of Africa. And the Europeans, the white people who were there, had a reaction, a color reaction to the Semites that is no different than the reaction and the concern on the part of people who are white in this area of the world or any other area of the world to people who have the genetic capacity to produce color, who can genetically annihilate their position. I think it's very, very important. Even though Dr. Shockley, I am convinced that Dr. Shockley believes that he is perhaps elevating science with all of his charts and all of his figures, but he doesn't understand the things that propel him as a white individual in a social system that has programmed him throughout his life and programmed large numbers of people like him to focus on the genetics of people of color in such a way as to destroy people of color.
I would like to ask a question, and Dr. Shockley, if you could answer it yes or no, I would appreciate it. Do you believe that Black people are inferior in intelligence because of their heredity?
I have a standard statement. It is not yes or no. It's memorized. I say at the same time every time, I think. What I say is this. My research leads me, and it's a tragic conclusion, really. My research leads me inescapably to the opinion that the major cause of the American Negro's intellectual and social deficits is hereditary and racially genetic in origin, and thus not remediable to a major degree by practical improvements in environment.
All right, if you...
Now listen to that. The man said, "You stupid because of your heredity. You have bad genetics, and it doesn't matter what condition, what environment you're put in, you're still going to be stupid." And if you believe that that is the foundation of white supremacy, that's what he is. I wanted to get to the point where he was talking about eugenics, but I don't know if I can find it. His thing is dysgenics. I think he tried to explain it. Oh, Lord. Hold on a second. I'm just trying to get, see, I want to get to this one part.
Now, bad eyesight, such that if the same shift occurred for IQ, it would mean that the average IQ distribution would be up by 9 points rather than down by about 15 points, which is the typical average.
Dr. Shockley, visual acuity is probably something that the system of white supremacy has not necessarily seen the need to affect the environment that Black people are in so that it will alter the fact that they have visual acuity that is superior to whites. The fact of visual acuity is not attacked in the same way as educational opportunity and job performance is attacked.
See?
And I think that
It's evidence for a genetic difference.
Well, you see what I'm saying? There might be many, many more genetic differences where people of color appear superior.
If I may, we have a number of people and would like...
Okay, well, anyway, we're going to stop that. But I just wanted to point that out. So the point is, you know, there's the people who believe in the eugenic society. They are not just some people that's running around, you know, in pickup trucks, stupid. These are educators. These are scientists. They literally believe in this, have created a science of it, and they truly believe in it, and they have money. They have money to carry out elaborate plans that kill people. And I just want to show this. You know, remember Joe Biden, he said 2040, whites will be a majority minority in this country. He was very concerned about that. And he told Blacks that you would have to work with those Latinos as if we had to listen to him. You see, but I want to show this one too. Yeah, remember, everybody looks it up. National Security Study Memorandum 200 implications. So let's look at that. I mean, we just need to look at some of this stuff here, guys. Now, this is something a lot of people won't read, but I'm going to not read. Of course, I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's 123 pages. But this is what we need to see here. Hold on a second. Hold on. National Security Study Memorandum 200. I thought it was 2000. Keep in mind the debate between William Shockley and Francis Cress Welsing. It was 1974, right? Right? So we got to connect these dots. This was a big debate. Tony Brown Journal was a national show. Everyone looked at it. It is an intellectual show. So the government people were paying attention to that debate. Keep in mind, these are not people that's just in the pickup truck. These are not just white supremacists who really can't do nothing but come up to you and maybe they can shoot one or two people. These are people who can affect policy. They affect the education. They affect your food. They can do a lot of things here. So National Security Study Memorandum 200, Implications of Worldwide Population Growth. Look at that. For U.S. and security and overseas interests. The Kissinger Report. Let's see. It was declassified. Let's see. Executive order. So this was an executive order 11-652, downgraded at 2-year intervals and declassified in 1980. So this has been declassified in 1980. The first thing that they're concerned about is world demographic trends. What did Biden say? In 2040, this is going to be a majority minority white country. And you're going to have to start dealing with Latinos. Okay? Remember, these people were concerned. Eugenics saying they think that they're superior. Francis Galton, Virginia's Racial Integrity Act, 1924. You see? In 1883, simply put, eugenics means well born. He made this phrase up. This is what they're saying. Francis Galton. They think these people are stupid. Let's see if I can show you this here. I'm sorry. Going back and forth. Hold on. Let me say something. So, just understand that. Just look some of these things up. Francis Galton to Virginia's Racial Integrity Act of 1924. This was a big concern. This has been a big concern. 1883, Francis Galton made up this term eugenics. And to him, the white people were superior. They were the master race. They were superior. This came from America here. They show these other people as dumb. They feel that black people, other people are stupid. And keep in mind, people that are considered white today, like the Italian and the, whatever this is, Lap, which I don't know what that is, but these bottom two are considered white now. But at that time, this was not considered white. And as they get closer to their annihilation, see, this is the last one, this black dude. They can't have that. They can't have it. It's too much for them. So, let's see. And I'm not going to go into all of this because y'all can look this up on your own, because I'm not trying to go through the whole thing, but these are just resources. If you never seen these things, you would never ask these questions. We're dealing with two different people. These people are fighting. In their mind, they're fighting for survival because they pay attention to trends. This is why they take education away from you, mathematics away from you. They don't want you to be able to see trends. When someone tries to warn you of what's happening, they want you to not believe it or not even have the capacity to believe it, because you have to be explained. There's so much foundational information that you have to be explained that you're not going to look at it. Keep in mind, look at this. 2004. This is from Health Sciences Library. So this eugenics is in health. You know, negative eugenics, and then they come up with negative eugenics and positive eugenics, and you know, this is racist. This is racist. Okay, so look up that eugenics thing. Bottom line, you know, the birth rates. They're worried about birth rates. They're trying to. They're concerned about dumb, even white people, poor whites. They're concerned about that. You know, so what else? I'm about to end this off in a minute. Only healthy seed must be sown. See? So America's hidden history, eugenics movement. This is white people letting you know. So if you don't think that there's a group of people out here, we're not talking about everyone who today is considered white. These are people who believe that they have the power to determine who should live and who should die. And this is what we need to understand. So the United States has an imperfect history. Some of the darker chapters in slavery, the decimation of Native American populations, the atrocities committed during our various wars. A quick survey will reveal that most Americans have learned about, or at least heard of, these events. However, ask the average person about the eugenics movement, and they are likely to get blank stares. We at Genetics Generation believe it's time to raise awareness of this tragic time in our country's history. Eugenics is still going on. It's not a tragic time that's stopped or anything. You know, this is just so funny. But you got to realize that the people that this man trained, that these people have trained, are still, they're all up in the society. They believe this stuff. They don't want to homogenize their seed with black people. They want to stay white. I don't have a problem with that. But, you know, what their choice is, they feel that they can annihilate the black people. And what they're doing is using policy and deception to get us to annihilate ourselves. This is why they want to legalize drugs and liquor and all of these degenerate lifestyles, because these lead to a group's destruction. That's what happens when you do all of this here. And so, you know, I just need to put that out there for a lot of people, because when we don't know what's happening, nobody can tell us anything. And let's see here. Let me find one other thing. I'm going to go leave off with some solutions. Let me see something. Hold on a second. Need to deal with some solutions, baby. We'll get it. We'll get it. We'll get it. All right. Press that thumbs up and make sure you comment on this, or at least look up. I'm going to try to leave some of these links in the chat so y'all can look through some of this stuff. And another thing, a lot of people just don't look at this kind of stuff. And I don't expect everybody to look at this kind of stuff. But the problem is, this is what it ends up becoming a problem. It ends up becoming a problem because if you don't know some of this stuff, when you need to be warned about some information, you don't have a foundation in which to be able to believe it because you never heard of it. Like, if you never heard of something, you're going to doubt it. You're going to want to understand it before you can even believe it. And so that's kind of how they got us. So let me see something here. second here. Hold on, just be. Hold on a second. I'm looking for something. All right, I think I'm gonna read some from this book. Get this book. This is from Elijah Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm just gonna read a couple pieces of it so that we can get some ideas on. This is the rising force. This is why I call it the rising force. Those eugenics situations, these people are dying out. And so the best they can do is try to kill us. That's all they're thinking. That's the only thing they can think of. They don't have any other, they can't even think of any other solution. There is another solution, but they're too proud. You know, they're too proud to do the solution, the real solution, which is to go ahead and do the reparations. Let me see something here. The real solution is just to do reparations, but they won't do it. So what's going to end up happening is we're going to grow. It's almost like a pregnant mother. If she doesn't have that baby, we're growing up right inside of this country. And this country is fueled by the stolen labor from us. And they're fueled by the stolen land from us. And we are part of Native Americans, right? We're mainly mixture. We're a mixture, which you can look at Dane Calloway and some other people. You know, there's a lot of documentation to prove that. So these are the lies that we've been taught. But I want to deal with this part. And this comes from page 33. Excuse me. When Abe Lincoln and John F. Kennedy spoke out for Negroes. So talking about Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, we know both of those two was assassinated. And the tragic death of President Kennedy should serve as a warning to all rulers and people of value that values cannot be trusted openly in the presence of thieves and robbers. There has never been a president elected to such a high office who had the heart of everyone for him. And never was there a king who had the people wholeheartedly with him, regardless of how good the king, the president, the prime minister, or the spokesman for the king or president. So it doesn't matter what nation you have, you're always going to have somebody that don't like you. Even if you're on YouTube or you're doing anything, you know, you're going to always have somebody that don't like you. And so those people, if given the tools to destroy you, they will destroy you. Okay. Now, to take human lives at will, disregarding their own legal law against such action, makes the country be classified as a country or government of outlaws, where people have no safety of their lives under the law, which claims to safeguard their lives, the lives of human beings. So that lets us know that we should not be satisfied or feel safe in this country under this government. So it activates us and motivates us to try to change the laws, right? Now we're at a point that we've tried to change the laws for multiple decades in situations. The white people have pushed back. They don't want to change their laws. They want to make them more oppressive. They want to make them worse. And as we grow in numbers, remember Shockley, the eugenicists, they're concerned about the numbers and also are advocating for ourselves. It changes the minds of their kids, right? And this is breaking them apart because they don't want to just go ahead and give us our reparations. and give us our section and create a border. Remember, these are the solutions to racial conflicts. This is the solution to different groups of conflict. You're going to either harmonize, meaning y'all going to all get married into each other. That's the reason why when two tribes make peace, usually the chiefs or somebody important will exchange daughters with and sons so their families can get married. That signifies for the rest of the people, y'all get married. We're going to become one people. Okay. But if you're not going to do that, you want to create peace, you're going to create a border, you're going to separate, or you're going to have a forever war. And this is what the white supremacists have declared against the poor black people. And we didn't even know that they was trying to literally kill us all. But, you know, we come from such a powerful lineage that we didn't even know they was trying to kill us all, and they couldn't. So they really don't have a chance when we are wide awake and thinking. And this is what they've been angry about. Let me read these other two pieces, and then we're about to get up out of here, and I'm done. So can American exist? So this is something that we got to look at. Now, if they're going to exist, they cannot exist in the way that they have existed. So this coronavirus, all these other things, this stuff is not going to come back normal. There is a new normal, but the new normal is, you know, the erosion of white supremacy until it's gone. So the way this is going to have to roll. So let's listen to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. The continued existence of America in the way of government and power over people other than her own depends on the way she will continue to treat her once slaves, the black people in America, due to the prophecy of the Bible from Moses to Jesus and Muhammad. So these prophetic sayings, now the thing is, a lot of people throw away because you're talking about prophecy, but the thing is, it stands true because the reason why Quran and Bible are so important is because they know how to predict human nature. They predicted human nature, and they do a pretty good job at it. And that's the reason why those things are important. So I'm about to, let's see here. So I'm about to get up out of here. I just want y'all to, you know, if y'all listen to this whole video, let me know what you thought about it. And let's do that. Peace out.